Good morning, Coach. Thank you for joining us today. We know you joined us with a heavy heart this morning. It's the first chance to talk since the news has passed of Tosh Boyd. Can you give us a little bit of what's gone on inside the program since that news broke?
Yeah, one, thank y'all for being here. Obviously, since Saturday, I don't even know really what today is. It's been a challenging time, not only for our staff, our players, just our whole community, trying to comprehend all the different things that have been going on, and then still, from a purely football perspective, to try to get the team ready for a season that's upcoming. But I'll give our team and our staff credit. There's no playbook, no map to figure out how to deal when you come on a circumstance, a situation like this, and they've done a great job of just loving on each other, trusting in their faith. Our players have all of us handle emotions differently, and the challenge that we're all facing now is we really in the sport, the time of year we're in, we don't have a lot of time to grieve, and so a lot of that has been kept in, and so we've tried to really figure out how we can grieve through this process and still try to get the guys ready to for a season. So it's been challenging, but I'm proud of our team. They come out every day and they've stuck together. Tried to use this opportunity that we have to help the people that are hurting. They've done a great job of reaching out and to the people that are hurting doing this, and there's a lot of people that are hurting through the community, and where Tosh was from, his community, and our players have done a great job of trying to be a great example of that, and I'm proud of them for that. I'll open it up if you have any questions beyond that.
What steps do you guys take as a program in terms of having support staff available and having it for maybe a longer period of time, since there's so much going on in terms of you're trying to prepare for the season and the opener with the reality that it takes time to grieve?
Well, the tremendous thing about here at Liberty, we have tremendous support, not only from administration, but all across campus, and we've had access to that for a long time, not just the last few days. And so our teams had the opportunity to speak, whether that's individually, coaches have as well, whether that's individually, whether that's a group. We've had people out in practice, just to go through the different things that we're all that we're going through. And there's certain steps that anytime there's something the tragic happens, there's certain steps that you go through, and we've done. I think the staff has done a really good job, and I'm saying not necessarily the football staff, but the staff in general, the people here on campus, all the services that we have of laying out different processes that you have to go through as you prepare and try to grieve through a challenging time. And we've had a lot of players use those services, and they've been around practices, and our athletic training staff, led by Elias Lillyway, has been phenomenal through this all, and helping our players navigate the challenges of it.
Coach, what has it kind of been like seeing the outpouring of support from coaches like Tony Elliott and the tech community?
I've got somebody.
Hold on a second. We'll call on you.
Go ahead.
What's it kind of been like seeing the outpouring of support from coaches like Tony Elliott and the statements that were made over Jamey Chadwell?
Well, obviously, they went through challenging times as well, and nobody wants to go through that at all. But to know there's so many people that are praying for your community, your team, that obviously have experienced loss, and they can, whether that's just listening, whether that's just a word of encouragement, get you through. And there's been people all across the country that have reached out, whether it's myself or other people of our staff. But to have, our friends in the state here to do that means a lot to us. It means a lot to our team.
You're always looking for what good can come from challenging times. What do you hope can come out of what you guys have had to face?
Well, I do believe wholeheartedly Romans 8:28. I believe that we've shared it with our team, and I know something good will come from this. Our team, I know, has become closer. And one thing as a staff, as you build a program, you hope you have a brotherhood, and sometimes that has to be forced through fire. And through this time frame, I think we were able to seeing the players and the emotion and the outpouring that they had of how they felt about Taj and the different things. I think that has brought them closer together. And if that comes from this, then it's going to be we'll navigate through it successfully, because they're going to build a bond and won't be broken, and that'll help not only obviously as a team, but also in their life as they go forward. But I believe wholeheartedly, and our team does, that something good is going to come out of this.
Let's go online to Brian Smith, 13 News Now.
My apologies. Two questions. One, how often, or have you had a chance to reach out to Taj's family to see how they're doing? And two, have you heard from anything in terms of a police investigation as to what happened? Do you have any idea yet from any investigation?
The first question I have spoken to his mom and dad a couple times now since the weekend, checking in and seeing how they're doing, seeing what's going on, anything we can do to offer support. We've had some players do that as well, especially from our offensive line group. And so she's felt, and they know that Taj was loved here, and that he was a part of our program, and will always be a part of our program in our hearts. And so we've let them know that. From a police investigation standpoint, I'm not included on any of those conversations or anything from that nature. And so I don't know if they're still investigating or if anything's closed from that standpoint. And so I'm sure we'll find that out at some point soon.
Let's go to Hank next online from the Associated Press.
Hey, Coach, thanks for doing this. What can you tell us about the circumstances of Taj's death? Was it football related?
It was not a football related death.
Can you tell us any more about that? Lynchburg police said there is not a criminal investigation.
I'm going to respect the privacy of his family, and if they want to share, the circumstances around, I'll let them do that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's go one more online, Bobstenfield.
Coach, I know, you're new at the university, and he was also a freshman, Taj, but can you tell us a little bit about what kind of person and his personality and how his teammates talked about him and the positive memories of his life?
Yeah, we can. He loved fashion. He loved clothes, and he's got a storage unit full of clothes. He loved clothes, and he made a huge impact on the team. And he was very quiet, as far as an outwardly quietness. If you saw him in the hall, he was cordial, but he's very quiet. But when he was one-on-one with his teammates, he lit up the room. And seeing how he impacted not only the offensive line, but his teammates that he came in with, as far as in January, there was a certain group he came in with, and they bonded. And he shared a lot of life experiences with the players. There was a lot of challenges that he grew up with, that he overcame to be successful and to get himself to this point where he was at. And he was really willing to share that with anybody that would listen that was going through challenging times. And I would share he had a giving heart. If there was something that anybody was going through on the team, he was always there. He was very giving person. He loved to help others out.
Coach, I have a question. Just how tough is it right now in a critical part? You're evaluating talent. You're still having practices. How tough is it to evaluate guys right now and say, you know what, I may not be seeing the best version of this person at this spot, at this moment?
Well, you definitely have to take in all the, as you're trying to make a judgment on that, all the circumstances surrounding that, right? And so we're at a point right now that I'm not saying that's on hold, but that's not the most important thing that we're doing now. Obviously, we're trying to get a team ready, but also we're trying to make sure that we're understanding the different feelings that different groups might have and how to navigate that with that. And sometimes maybe somebody's having a bad day because of just the circumstances that we are. So we really tried to focus on that as a coaching staff and let guys know that if they need time, to take the time to do some of those things that they need to do to help grieve, and people are doing that differently. And so we're taking that day by day.
Is there more pressure on you and the coaching staff? Because, I mean, these folks that are older and have just been through life a little bit more, to be a guide, to be some a sounding board, some level of support for the players, even with the leaders on the team in terms of their life perspective, being able to process everything?
Well, I wouldn't say there's more pressure. We, as a coach and staff, we believe in being that leader and that mentor all the time, whether that's during good times or whether that's during challenging times. And that's why we do what we do. We enjoy using the game of football to give people the opportunity to change their lives. And so I wouldn't think there's more pressure on that. I would think the challenge for me and our staff is with the circumstances and still trying to get a team ready of how to recognize maybe how somebody's grieving differently and not to get in the mode of, well, it's fall camp, we gotta go, and trying to understand that. I think that's more, at least for me, pressure that I'm feeling on how to juggle that.
Another one for me, then we'll get back online. Just the team and funeral arrangements, memorial, that type of thing. Have there already been? Has that already happened? Or will it happen? Will the team be part of it? Were they part of it?
They've not; those have not been arranged yet. Once they're arranged, we'll obviously rearrange whatever schedule we have to give ourselves the opportunity to be a part of those things.
Back online. Let's go to Brian, and then we'll go to Hank.
Coach, you're a father, you're a parent, how do you, because you're basically an extension of in terms of a guardian for the student athlete, how does this hit home for you? Because you're basically like to some degree a surrogate father to a lot of these players. How do you deal with it and get through it and try and help your players in the same breath? Something like this.
I think you have to be vulnerable. As coaches, the old way is you show toughness, right? And man, you don't cry, you don't show that you're vulnerable, you don't show your emotions. And I think it's very important that you show emotions and you let your team know how you're affected by it as well. Obviously, you as a head coach, I'm affected by it, our whole team and our whole staff's affected by anytime something happens. That could be an injury, for somebody that's given everything they can and then they're out, for a year. It could be an injury. Obviously, it could be something like this. And so, for me, I've tried not to mask what I'm feeling, so if there's days that I'm not doing well, then I let them know, and hopefully they can see that it's all right to let them know if they're not feeling the same way. As I said, I don't know if there's a map to guide that, but that's how the Spirit's leading me right now.
Hank.
Hey, Coach, two things if I may. Just one detail. You mentioned what a difficult day Saturday was. Was that when he passed or when you guys found out he passed?
That's when we found out. We found out Saturday.
Okay. And among the folks that you've reached out to, obviously the University of Virginia is going through something, much different, but in some ways similar. Have you spoken with Tony Elliott or any of the folks on the staff up there?
I have spoken. Coach Elliott did reach out, and so and sent some words of encouragement, and was much needed during a challenging time.
Coach, I saw you post the rainbow picture. Tell me about that moment and why you wanted to post that.
You know, that was Sunday, obviously after everything Saturday, we had a little service, you know, Sunday and let some of our players share their hearts and then it started raining, you know, and one of our players after, you know, it rained, he said, you know, rain brings growth, you know, and then obviously to see the rainbow there over the stadium just reminded you of God's promises and that better days are coming, you know, and to rely on Him, lean on Him. I think sometimes, you know, when you go through certain challenges, you ask why did this happen, you know, and it's just a reminder to trust God.
We'll go back to Bob and then one more in the room, and that's all we have time for.
Coach, I met you for the second time actually at Conference USA Media Day a few weeks ago, and also your senior offensive lineman Gadlin was there, and one of the things he said was that the community poured into him growing up, so he's giving back to the community. How has he reacted as a leader in this situation?
Well, you know, it hit him hard because as being a senior leader in there, you know, he takes a lot of pride in mentoring the young offensive line. So he took it hard, and like a lot of the people in that room did because they were so close. To his credit, he's been vulnerable, but also he's rallied that group because that is the group that spent the most time with him. And our offensive line coach, our offensive line GA, all the different people were in that room all the time. Is you can imagine how the whole team feels about that group specifically because they were 24/7 with him. And so Xavier X has done a really nice job of the emotions he's feeling and taking the pulse of the room and what they need and being that leader from that standpoint. And I've listened a lot to him the last few days as far as how they're doing, and he lets me know and try to gauge how we're doing things based off of how that room's feeling a little bit and what they're processing. So he's been tremendous, and everything that you know about him and people have wrote about him is true, and he's really stepping up during this time.
One more in the room.
Coach, if you don't mind talking about it, I know this is very tragic, but how therapeutic is the game of football right now for some of these guys?
I think it's tremendous for a lot of them. I think there's certain times where there's reminders too, you know, and so there's the balance of that emotions. You know, they're lifting weights right now, and it's great, it's tremendous. But then, you know, maybe their partner was that, and so there's a tug from that standpoint. But I think you got to find your sanctuary, you know, among the challenges of life. And for these guys, that can be their sanctuary for 2 hours or whatever it may be. And so I think it allows them to get some of the emotions out as well and bring some of the emotions up, you know. And so, but they need it more than ever now. So.
Coach, we appreciate your time and sharing.
I do have a couple football things I'll share with you. Jacob Jenkins, our tight end, his waiver was denied, so he's going to be ineligible this year. So you guys are aware of that. Brendan Slitler was hurt, and so he's most likely out for the year, offensive lineman. And then Lawrence Brown, one of our defensive backs, was hurt yesterday, most likely out for the year. So from an injury standpoint, update, so you are aware of that.
Can you expand on either of those injuries real quick?
Lower body.
Okay, thank you.
Again, thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all for the prayers. Thank you for everybody that's reached out, and please continue praying for just the community and the team and the family. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.